This topic has been around forever, and I think a lot of us, like myself, when some type of a statement is made by gurus and people that we really respect and love and hold on pedestals, that we just assume it's true. And so if you're like me, there's many things over the years that we just parrot, we just repeat. Well, why? Well, because very famous people say it, and it must be true if they say it, because in this case, spiritual statements, they've been to India and they've been in ashrams and they're a guru and all these things. And so we just assume that they're correct. And I did the same thing. Oh my God, I'm finding out over the past 37 years of being in this field of personal growth and spirituality that there's a lot of things that I taught that aren't necessarily true. I believed them at the time, so I was living in integrity, but then years later I find out, wow, they're not true at all, or they're only partially true. And this statement that we have, or many of us, I should say, have accepted, that we are human beings or spiritual beings having a human experience, that statement has been around forever. And a lot of us just take it for granted like it's true without really examining it. Does that make sense? So that statement that we are spiritual beings having a human experience is actually in reverse. And the real true statement is that we are human beings having a spiritual experience. And let me tell you what it means. Now, I do believe I'm very deeply ingrained in the spiritual culture, and I'm a minister. God, I was a pastor of a church for years and traveling minister. I traveled all over taking weekends for people that didn't want to have their sermons that weekend. They needed a vacation, so ministers would call me up and say, could you come and take over this weekend? So I've been in this business for a very, very long time. And up until 1996, one of my greatest mentors was Ram Dass, who I still love to this day. And Ram Dass used to teach, and from 1980 to 1996, Ram Dass used to teach that, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so what's the downfall of that? Well, in our work, when 1996, when I started to change and started to say, wait a minute, guys, I know I've taught this before. For 17 years I've taught this, but it's not true. What's true is that we are truly human beings having a spiritual experience. And what that means is we come out, of course, we're in the spirit world before we're born, right? But the minute we're born, guess what? We're human. And then as we age through wisdom and experience and failure and loss and success, we should be becoming more spiritual. And what does that mean? Well, we should believe in a power maybe greater than ourselves. We should be more ensconced in nature. We should, as we age, the wisdom, we should become more patient and compassionate and loving and all those spiritual attributes, right? But the reason why I firmly believe that we are human beings having a spiritual experience is because we're moving along the spiritual path. In many sects of Christianity and Hinduism, because I've had to study both very deeply, is that what happens when someone hits 60 is that they start to become more ingrained in their spiritual path. And why is 60 such a big year? Well, it's usually if you have children, the children are out of the house, you're heading towards retirement or decreasing the workload. And so you have more time to become more spiritual. When we talk about the word someone who's awakened or moving towards enlightenment, that takes a lot of time. Like if you were spiritual beings having a human experience, well, we should be enlightened right from the start. We should be very much enlightened right from the start. But we're not. We move towards enlightenment, which goes along to prove this fact that we're human beings having a spiritual experience. Ram Dass, let me go back to Ram Dass, something that's just so important for us to examine. Up until 1999, he used to teach that I am not my body. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I am not my body. I'm not my body. And he'd say that over and over again. And I loved him from 1996 when I left that teaching until today. I still love him to death. In 1999, he had a critical stroke where he was bedridden and it affected him. He couldn't hardly talk. He had to rely on other people to take care of him. And when we look at the backstory, his doctor had been telling him for years that his blood pressure was way too high, cholesterol out of control, overweight. But he would keep saying to his doctor, Doc, you know what? That doesn't relate to me because I'm not my body. I'm a spiritual being. And then in 1999, his body kicked his ass. And his body said, you haven't taken care of me, and now I'm going to get your attention. And from that day forward, he still believes he's a deeply spiritual person, of course, and he still teaches beautiful messages. But he's also said, holy crap, was I wrong? I am my body. And that's one of the problems that we have, like these statements that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And then all of a sudden we think that, taking care of our body isn't as important. Because why? Well, we have some kind of special connection to our higher power, and he's always going to protect us as long as we're spiritual, right? It's not that easy. I've had people come up to me during our spiritual lectures, and they've said, I totally disagree with you. I'm a spiritual being, and I don't have to worry about this human world. And I'd say, okay, well, why are you at a lecture on financial freedom if you don't have to care? Well, if you're a spiritual being, you don't have to worry about that stuff because God will always take care of you. And then I'd say again, well, why are you here? What's your financial situation? Well, I've been financially stressed my whole life. I don't have any money. And I never have had money. And I'd say, okay, well, then you're in the right place. You don't have to worry about that. I'm just here because I want to be, but I don't have to worry about my money because God's going to take care of me. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And then these people are stressed their whole life over money. And she came back the second day of that workshop, believe it or not, and she admitted that she is stressed to the gills. So let's really slow down and take a look at some of these phrases that we just parrot. And we say, well, if some important million-selling author said it, it must be true. Not necessarily so. And it doesn't mean that I'm against spirituality, and it doesn't mean I'm against Ram Dass or Wayne Dyer, late Wayne Dyer, or anyone else who I love deeply that professes that. But I think we need to slow down and evaluate something a little closer. If we can admit that we're human beings and we treat our body like a temple, and we understand money is really important to learn how to make and manage and give and all that kind of stuff, then we can proudly say, I'm a human being moving towards my spiritual experience. I'm a human being moving towards awakening and enlightenment. And you don't have to be afraid to admit that you're a human being. And we can get off of that spiritual merry-go-round where we're not taking care of our body and our finances because supposedly we don't have to because we're spiritual. Let's reverse that. Let's say as I age through wisdom and experience and knowledge, I'm more compassionate, more loving, which is more spiritual. I'm more connected to my spiritual path, which is all awesome. But I'm also respecting the temple God gave me and the money and how to use it effectively. Okay? Hey, listen, we have all kinds of stories like this in our #1 best-selling book on positive thinking. Get chapter 1 for free at the website above, or I'll also put it below. If you want to do a free session with me over the phone, 15-minute jumpstart session, we give everyone the opportunity for a one-time. Just go to our website, talkdavid.com or davidessel.com, and email us. And we also have this very cool brand new program, David Essel's Daily Video Boost. You can join it and get an inspirational video every morning in your email box. Go to the website, talkdavid.com, and check out David Essel's Daily Video Boost, okay? I want you to have the most amazing experience, both spiritual and human, that you can. Have a great day. Bye-bye.